The artifact lay in the dirt like a broken toy. Half buried under collapsed concrete and scorched steel, it looked more like a rusted engine part than the relic of a civilization that had once eclipsed humanity's reach. Captain Jace Cale crouched over it, visor reflecting the faint glow that still pulsed along its cracked surface. His squad spread out across the ruins of New Ankara, weapons at the ready. The city had burned 3 years ago during the Dominion's cleansing strikes, but the ashes still whispered of things left behind. "Another dead hunk of alien scrap," grumbled Corporal Venn, nudging a twisted girder aside. "We keep finding them, they keep doing nothing." Jace didn't answer. His eyes lingered on the faint latticework carved into the object's side. Patterns repeating, fractal loops that caught the light. Something in them hummed, not in his ears, but in his bones. Lieutenant Aria's voice cut through the silence, sharp and cautious. "Captain, radiation levels minimal. No Dominion patrols within range. If we're grabbing this thing, now's the time." Jace set his rifle down and brushed dirt away. The device was heavy, its shell fused with black scorch marks. He almost laughed at himself for staring. What was he expecting? That it would wake up because he wanted it to? And then, out of habit, out of sheer exhaustion after months of scouring ruins for anything useful, he muttered, "Wake up." The artifact responded. A piercing tone split the air, metallic and ancient. Blue light cascaded across its surface, fractures sealing themselves, the hum rising into clarity. A voice, mechanical yet resonant, filled the air. "Fleet status, awaiting orders." Silence and shock. No one moved. The squad froze, rifles half raised. Even the wind through the ruins seemed to stop. "Tell me I didn't hear that," Ben whispered. Arya stepped closer, visor gleaming with reflected light. Her voice was measured, but her hand twitched near her sidearm. "Captain, what did you just do?" Jace swallowed, pulse hammering. "I joked." The artifact pulsed again. "Command protocols offline. Identity verification required. Fleet status dormant." "Fleet?" Ven's voice cracked. "As in warships? You telling me that busted lump is tied to alien fleets?" Arya shot him a glare. "Quiet. Captain, this could be bait. Dominion traps their wreckage to lure scavengers." But Jace wasn't listening to her doubt. The word fleet rang through his skull. Humanity's greatest loss wasn't the billions dead, or the cities burned, it was the skies. Dominion's superiority in orbit had shattered Earth's defenses before the first soldier fired back. If this relic truly connected to something beyond, Brimiki Base needs to see this, Jace muttered, lifting the artifact. Its weight surprised him. It wasn't just heavy, it resisted, like it wanted to root itself to the ground. But as his gauntlets gripped tighter, the glow stabilized, and the hum deepened. "New command bearer detected. Provisional access granted." The words froze him cold. The rift in the squad. "Captain, that's not a good sound," Ven hissed, backing away. "Machines don't hand out commands unless they're owned by someone. And if it's not ours, then it could be Dominion." Arya finished, but her tone carried less certainty. She stared at the artifact with something close to awe. Jace set his jaw. "If it were Dominion, it would have killed us already. Instead, it's waiting. For orders." "That's worse," Then spat. "We're standing in the ruins of a city they burned to ash, and you think their leftovers want to play soldier for us?" Arya's voice cut sharper. "Enough. We're soldiers. We take it back, we let Command decide." But Jace shook his head. "Command will bury it. Or hand it over to the scientists who'll spend decades poking at it while the Dominion grinds us down. This," he lifted the artifact, glow painting his face blue. "This is different. It responded to me." The silence that followed was heavy. Mara, one of the younger privates, finally spoke, her voice hushed. "Captain, what if it's right? What if it's waiting for you?" The weight of possibility. Jace's hands tightened. He thought of Earth's skies burning, the Dominion fleets blotting out the stars. He thought of the refugees choking the tunnels of Mars, of the whispers that humanity's days were numbered. And now, here in the rubble, a dead device promised fleets. Fleet status, awaiting orders, it repeated, steady, patient. He met Arya's eyes. She was loyal, disciplined, but behind her visor, he saw the same flicker of temptation he felt. If this is real, Jace said, voice low but certain, we don't walk away. We don't hide it. We use it. Van cursed under his breath. You'll doom us all. Jace turned to him, calm but deadly firm. No. If we do nothing, the Dominion dooms us all. If this thing gives us even a fraction of what it promises, we take back the stars. The first test. The artifact pulsed brighter, symbols unfolding across its surface in holographic script none of them recognized. Remiki Base's translation tech could barely scratch Dominion language, but this wasn't Dominion. It was older. Different. Arya's voice softened, almost reverent. Captain, it's asking for an order. Jace hesitated. His throat was dry, words heavy. An order, what could he risk? He steadied himself and spoke clearly. Status report. Location of fleet. The artifact responded instantly. Fleet status dormant. Vessels in stasis dockyards. Coordinates encrypted. Awaiting activation. The squad stared in stunned silence. Even Ven faltered. Dockyards? Mara whispered. Whole fleets asleep somewhere. Jace exhaled slowly. It wasn't just hope. It was direction. The cost of discovery. Before the weight of revelation could settle, Remiki Base broadcasts crackled through comms. Kale's squad, Dominion patrol inbound on your position. Multiple dropships. Evacuate immediately. Ven's eyes widened. They heard it. They're coming for that thing. Jace's grip tightened on the artifact. He could feel the Dominion closing already, the hiss of their engines, the shadows of their soldiers. They couldn't fight a full patrol in open ruins. Not here. Arya raised her rifle. Captain, we move. Now. Jace glanced back at the artifact, glowing like a heart in his arms. We're not leaving it. The squad bolted through crumbling streets, engines of Dominion dropships screaming overhead. Plasma fire rained down, cutting trenches through ash and steel. Jace ran harder, the device's hum vibrating through his chest. Every step felt heavier, not with weight, but with destiny. Cliffhanger. They slid into the hollowed carcass of a skyscraper, shadows swallowing them as Dominion boots hit the ground outside. Arya panted, rifle aimed at the broken windows. We can't outrun them forever. The artifact pulsed again, brighter than before. Command bearer in danger. Defensive protocol available. Authorization required. Jace froze. The device wasn't just waiting, it was offering. Captain, Arya whispered, eyes wide. What if it's a trap? Outside, Dominion voices barked orders, their soldiers moving closer. Jace's pulse hammered. His squad waited, eyes on him. The artifact pulsed, asking again. Defensive protocol available. Authorize? Jace lifted it, blue light casting sharp shadows across his face. He bared his teeth. Do it! The device roared to life. The artifact screamed to life in Jace's hands, light surging across its fractured shell. The glow deepened, cascading into the air like molten circuitry, flooding the ruined skyscraper with shifting patterns. For a heartbeat the squad could only stare. Then the Dominion found them. Plasma bolts tore through the building's broken walls, exploding into molten spray. The floor shook as armored boots hammered closer. Jace's squad fired back, but they were outnumbered, outgunned. The Dominion patrols weren't scavengers, they were executioners. And still, the artifact pulsed. Defensive protocol authorized. Initiating. The air cracked. The weapon revealed. Light spilled from the device, spiraling outward in a lattice of hard blue lines. The ruined skyscraper shuddered as the walls bent, not breaking, but changing. Chunks of steel reformed into smooth panels, broken beams melted into angular frames. A dome of energy rippled around them, swallowing the squad in an instant. Then gasped. Captain, it just built a shield. Around the whole damned building. Outside, Dominion fire struck the barrier and ricocheted, sparks bouncing harmlessly. Dominion commanders barked in their guttural tongue, regrouping as their barrage failed. Arya lowered her rifle, stunned. That wasn't a trap. She turned to Jace, eyes sharp. That's ours. But Jace's gaze was fixed on the artifact, still pulsing like a living heart. Not ours yet. It's waiting. Dominion adaptation. Outside, the Dominion adjusted. They didn't retreat, they never did. Dropships roared overhead, deploying heavier ordnance. The squad watched through fractured windows as cannons mounted, barrels glowing violet. Captain, Arya said tightly, they're bringing siege guns. That shield won't last forever. The artifact's voice interrupted, steady, mechanical. Defensive protocol incomplete. Secondary systems offline. Fleet coordination required. Mara, still clutching her side where shrapnel had torn earlier, muttered. Fleet coordination? It's calling to ships we don't even have. Jace turned toward her, jaw tight. Maybe we do. If those coordinates are real. Then snapped, fear bleeding into anger. You're gambling with ghosts. There's no hidden fleet, just stories from ruins. That thing is bait. Jace stepped toward him, voice sharp as a blade. Then explained the shield holding back the Dominion. Then faltered, but his eyes burned with doubt. Traps can look like miracles. The first strike. Outside, the Dominion opened fire. Siege blasts hammered the shield, rippling it with waves of distortion. Each impact rattled teeth, bent steel, and left the barrier thinner. Remiki Base's comm burst through the squad's helmets, distorted by static. Kale's squad, your location just lit up like a sun. Dominion reinforcements converging. You have 10 minutes before they drown you. Arya cursed under her breath. If we don't move now, we don't move at all. The artifact pulsed brighter in Jace's grip, the voice cutting clean through the chaos. Authorization required, offensive countermeasure. The squad stared. Offensive? Mara whispered. Captain, what does that mean? Jace's hand tightened. It means we stop running. Fire from nowhere. He spoke the word. Authorize. The device screamed. Outside, Dominion forces braced as the shield flared. Then, from the sky itself, light descended. Orbital strikes, beams of pure energy lancing down into the ruins. Dominion dropships disintegrated midair, shredded like paper. Troopers on the ground vanished in blossoms of fire. The squad staggered back, the whole city trembling under the bombardment. Holy! Van choked, shielding his visor. That's not human tech. That's a god's hand. Arya's voice was tight, but steady. No. That's a fleet. Somewhere above us, something just answered the call. Jace's heart hammered. For the first time since the war began, he felt it, the Dominion on the defensive. The truth emerges. The artifact quieted, its glow dimming, voice once more calm. Countermeasure complete. Warning, fleet systems at minimal strength. Dockyards offline. Reactivation required. Arya stepped closer, eyes locked on the device. Captain, it wasn't just bluffing. Somewhere out there, ships are listening. Waiting. Jace exhaled slowly. The Dominion had ruled because their fleets had ruled. But what if humanity had fleets buried, dormant, hidden? What if the dead hadn't left only ruins, but weapons? This isn't scavenged scrap, he said. It's an inheritance. The rift widens. But Ven shook his head violently, voice rising. Inheritance? You don't even know who built it. You think fleets just wait centuries for anyone to shout? What if it's not humanity's to claim? What if we're just pawns in someone else's war? His rifle lowered, but his stance was dangerous, close to rebellion. Arya turned on him, furious. We just survived because of that thing. You want to hand it back to the Dominion? I want to survive. Then spat. Not worship dead machines. Jace stepped between them, his voice thunderous. Enough! This isn't about belief. It's about choice. Either we use this, or we watch the Dominion finish what they started. The silence after carried the weight of fractures forming in their squad. Dominion retreat. Outside, the last Dominion troopers broke. Dropships fled, their shadows vanishing into the clouds. They hadn't retreated out of mercy. They were regrouping, calling heavier fleets. Arya lowered her rifle. They'll be back. With warships. Maybe with a warlord. Jace nodded. And when they come, we won't be running through ruins. We'll have teeth. Orders from ghosts. The artifact pulsed one final time, its voice layered with faint distortion, like whispers beneath the machine. Command bearer recognized. Protocol Elysium initiated. Proceed to dockyard coordinates. The coordinates etched themselves into Jace's visor. A point deep beyond the asteroid belt, where no Dominion patrols lingered. Hidden. Waiting. Mara whispered, voice trembling with awe. Dockyards, whole fleets asleep out there. Jace stared at the numbers, fire in his chest. Then we wake them. Cliffhanger. The squad prepared to move, scavenging what little ammo remained. Above them, the smoke still glowed from orbital strikes, proof the Dominion could be wounded. Then lingered at the edge, his face shadowed. Doubt burned in his eyes, but he followed, for now. Arya stood beside Jace as he carried the artifact, its hum steady, patient. Captain, if those dockyards exist, we'll be the first humans to see them in centuries. Jace looked to the horizon, Dominion warships already forming in orbit. His voice was iron. Then let's give the dead their orders. Humanity doesn't wait anymore. The artifact pulsed an answer, light carving their path through the ruins toward destiny. The coordinates burned into Jace's visor like a brand. For 3 sleepless days, their battered shuttle cut through the silent lanes beyond Mars, deeper into the belt where Dominion patrols rarely ventured. The artifact lay strapped into the co-pilot's seat, humming softly, light pulsing in rhythm with the ship's systems, as if the craft itself had become its servant. Mara sat near the rear bulkhead, bandages across her ribs, her eyes locked on the device. Arya kept her hands on the controls, jaw clenched, scanning every shadow as though Dominion warships might spring from the dark. Ven stood behind them both, silent for once, but his scowl hadn't left. Finally, the artifact stirred. Approaching dockyards. Prepare for interface. Through the viewport, fragments of rock parted, revealing not empty space, but titanic structures hidden in the shadow of the belt. Vast rings of alloy stretched across kilometers, each cradle holding the skeletal frames of ships long asleep. Entire fleets, silent, waiting, cloaked by technology no human had ever built. Mara gasped, voice trembling. By the stars, it's real! The graveyard of giants. Their shuttle drifted into the largest ring. Towering vessels hung motionless, dark silhouettes with spires and blades jutting from hulls like frozen beasts. Each one dwarfed anything humanity had ever fielded. Arya whispered. Dockyards intact. No Dominion tags. No motion at all. They've been here for centuries. The artifact pulsed brighter. Command bearer, link required. Initiating inheritance protocol. Panels across the nearest warship flared to life, cascading light down its hull. Engines hummed, weapon ports yawning open, systems reconnecting after an age of silence. Jace gripped the armrest, chest tight. They're not just relics. They're ready. Then finally spoke, voice bitter. Or they're waking to finish the war their builders started. You don't know what they'll obey. Jace turned on him, eyes burning. I gave it an order in New Ankara. It shielded us. It struck the Dominion, not us. That's all the proof I need. Proof? Then sneered. Or wishful thinking? Before Jace could reply, the artifact interrupted. Caution, hostile fleet inbound. Dominion warlord detected. The arrival of the warlord. The stars shifted. Ripples in the void opened, and Dominion warships tore through reality, blotting out the view with their black armored hulls. At their head, a dreadnought bristling with cannons, its command sigils blazing red. Arya's knuckles whitened on the controls. They followed us. Mara's voice was tight with fear. Not just followed. They brought a warlord. The comms hissed alive, Dominion language translated in jagged tones. Human vermin. You trespass among things beyond you. This graveyard is ours now. Die, and be forgotten. The ship's silhouette loomed closer, cannons powering. Jace rose, gripping the artifact in both hands. Not this time. Awakening the fleet. The artifact roared, its lights spilling through the cockpit. Command bearer, authorize fleet awakening. Confirm. Jace didn't hesitate. Authorize. Energy surged from the dockyard. Ship by ship, the dead fleet lit up. Hulls glowed with power, weapons activated, engines ignited. Ancient war machines stirred as though only hours had passed since their last battle. The first salvo came from a cruiser larger than any human carrier, beams of searing white fire slicing into Dominion frigates. Explosions ripped across the void, turning enemy ships into fields of debris. Mara shouted over the tremors, her voice half awe, half disbelief. They're fighting for us. Aria's hands flew across controls, syncing their shuttle with the dockyard systems. They're coordinating on our signals. They're listening. Ven's face twisted, torn between rage and fear. Or they're just killing Dominion because that's all they know. Don't fool yourself into thinking you control them. Jace ignored him. The battlefield lit with fire. The warlord's counter. But the Dominion warlord did not flinch. His dreadnought advanced, cannons unleashing storms of violet plasma. Ancient warships shattered under the barrage, their light winking out as their hulls cracked. The artifact pulsed again. Command bearer, dreadnought requires direct engagement. Authorization, boarding sequence. Arya whipped around. Boarding? Captain, that's suicide. Mara's voice cracked. You can't be serious. That ship dwarfs cities. Jace's grip tightened. If the fleet falls here, they go dark forever. We cut the head, the rest scatter. Then spat. And when you die, what then? We hand the artifact to the Dominion? Jace's voice was iron. Then make sure I don't die. Boarding the beast. Their shuttle dove through chaos, weaving between beams and debris, until it latched onto the dreadnought's hull. Magnets clamped, charges blew, and the squad stormed inside. The corridors stank of smoke and alien resin, walls alive with pulsing veins of machinery. Dominion troopers surged forward, insective forms armored and lethal. Jace fought at the front, axe blazing with plasma arcs, cutting a path through chitin and steel. Arya and Mara fired disciplined bursts, their rifles spitting heat and smoke. Even Ven fought savagely, though his eyes never left the artifact in Jace's hands. They carved through corridors until a massive chamber opened, the throne of the warlord. The duel. He was colossal, 8 feet of armored muscle, skin-plated with obsidian scales, wielding a halberd that crackled with void energy. His voice shook the walls. Human. You command ghosts. But I command eternity. Jace stepped forward, raising the artifact high. Its light flared, meeting the warlord's shadow. Eternity ends today. The warlord struck, halberd cleaving through metal. Jace dodged, axe clashing against the weapon, sparks showering. Each blow rattled bones, the Dominion leader's strength monstrous. Arya shouted from cover, laying fire into the warlord's armor, but the rounds glanced uselessly. Mara tried to flank, only to be hurled back by a sweep of the halberd's energy field. The fight narrowed to 2 figures, human and warlord, locked in brutal rhythm. The warlord snarled. Your species is ash. Why rise again? Jace drove his axe against the halberd, eyes blazing. Because the dead left U.S. orders. He slammed the artifact against the warlord's chest. It pulsed once, then detonated. The end of the warlord. Light tore through the chamber. The warlord screamed as the artifact's energy ripped into his armor, splitting scales, searing flesh. Jace drove his axe deep, carving through bone, until the warlord collapsed in a heap of obsidian shards. Silence fell, broken only by the hum of the artifact. Dreadnought command neutralized. Fleet victorious. Outside, the dockyard ships surged in unison, crushing the remaining Dominion vessels. The battlefield was theirs. Resolution. The squad staggered back to the shuttle, bloody but alive. Dominion wreckage floated across the belt, the warlord's dreadnought breaking apart behind them. Mara leaned against the wall, voice trembling with relief. We did it! We actually won. Arya met Jace's eyes. Not just won. We proved humanity can hold the skies again. Then said nothing, but his silence carried unease. The artifact glowed brighter, voice calm, patient. Fleet operational. Awaiting orders. Jace sat heavily in the command seat, the weight of the galaxy pressing against his shoulders. His voice was hoarse, but steady. Then hear me. No more hiding. No more silence. Humanity commands,